All right, so for forcible entry, yes, there are multiple different steps that we're going to go through, and we're going to teach the students to go through every single step so that they understand the process. So as I go through this, understand that that is the expectation when we're teaching the students. As far as the setup of the doors, we do have a bunch of new props. We need to understand that we are trying to take care of the props. They are made to beat up. But the one thing that we're going to try and keep away from is when we get ready to shock the door, okay? Yes, we want to teach them to shock the door, but we're just going to be doing something kind of light. We are not trying to beat the living daylights out of the door with the shock. And then as we go along, we'll continue to teach them a little bit more about why it's important, when it's important. As far as the setup, coming around here, okay, for the inward swinging doors, okay, and outward swinging doors, but we're going to start with just two on the top. We're going to start with just two pieces of wood on the top, make sure that we've got a wedge in there. As they start to get the process for this, we may go ahead and drop down to having two pieces up top and two pieces at the bottom, okay? Out here right now, we do have a prop that's both a left and a right hand, so that students will get a chance to be able to do both. If you need to, we can take and we can soak some of this wood in water overnight, and hopefully the leads will go ahead and kind of help you guys with that, just to make it a little bit harder as we go along in the semester. All right. As far as what this looks like for the process, we are trying to teach the students that we want to make sure and use the tools appropriately, and when we need to wedge, we're going to use wedges. We would prefer not to have them use the axe to wedge into the door for a progress capture. So make sure that we've got wedges available for the students, whether they keep them in their pockets, wherever they'd like. So as we get ready to come up to the door, they're going to do their size up, okay? Whatever the size up is, whatever setup that you give them, just make sure that they're sizing up the entire door. Once we get the door size up done, they're going to come on up. The first thing we're going to do is we're just going to kind of check the door to see what kind of give we've got. That'll give us an idea, okay? We can go ahead and we can kind of shock the door. Again, we're not beating the living daylights out of it. As we come up and realize that we've got enough gap here, okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this as close to our point of tension as possible. We want to make sure that we maintain, and Keith, if you'll come on over here.
I get a shadow.
So some of the things that we want to do, we want to make sure, number one, that we're keeping tension with that leg. Number two, we want to make sure they're not sticking fingers back in here. They're not going to have a pinch point, okay? We want to make sure that we're holding pressure and we're holding in here. We can hold like this. Just make sure we're not grabbing in here. We can go down and smash our hands on any of that. We're going to go ahead and we're going to begin to gap. Okay? They may or may not get a good crack all the way along. What we're looking for is we're looking for this kind of gap. The expectation is not that they take the full door, okay, when they get ready to gap this. If it happens, that's great. What we want them to do is then we're going to go to bevel to the jam. We're going to make sure that we keep that, okay? We get the tool in there. It's nice and tight. Then we're going to go ahead and lightest axe ever. They're keeping that back pressure right here. Make sure that they've got a good, solid athletic stance, okay? The back pressure is important, as you all know. Okay? Once we get to the point of bearing it right here to the mark, all tools are marked. Make sure they get to this point. Once they get there, go ahead and have them, again, make sure and watch their hands. They're gonna bear this all the way to the door. Make sure they're not putting their fingers down in here, out here on the bar. Now we want them to flip the tool, okay? Now we're gonna go bevel to the door. Bury it all the way. If they need to strike a few more times, that's fine. Now they're gonna bury it all the way. If that opens the door, it's great. If not, talk to them about the different processes. Does this work? Not enough. We get to the point of the triangle power. We push that open. Once the door is open, they need to drop down. They need to control this door, make sure that they're ready. Then they're going to open it. 4 L's. Light, lift, location, and layout. They're going to search in here and reclose that door. That's the expectation every time. Okay, using the wedge. So when we get to the point of forcing the door, if for whatever reason the door isn't staying all the way open, or isn't staying open enough, we're losing that progress capture, we want them to use a wedge. we want them to place the wedge in a spot that is not where their tool is going to go. Again, we're trying to get the tool as close to that point of tension as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to have them place it up above or down below and make sure that it's enough that it can go ahead and capture that progress. All right, for the outward swinging door, same sort of thing. Whatever size up you want to give them, make sure that they go through and they talk about the size up. Make sure they're identifying the door. Biggest thing, obviously, inward swinging versus outward swinging, and what their attack plan is going to be. Again, when they come on up, this time we're going to go ahead. We've got a few of the steps that we're going to skip here because it's an outward swinger. But we're taking a look and we're trying to identify what we've got going on, okay? Where our points of tension are. So again, we've got to kind of make sure and go, okay, how are we going to get this in? If we've got the two-person, this is going to be a lot easier. But we do want all students to be able to do this one person. Again, we've got our wonderful notch in here, okay? We want to make sure that it's buried all the way. Again, make sure that we've got an athletic stance, okay? We're trying to give them that pressure, okay? If we need to, again, we're trying to get as much as we can. If they need to seat this again, absolutely. Biggest thing is make sure they've got that athletic stance all the way out. Again, we're gonna have them control the door. Then we need to make sure they open it up. And we go back into our 4 L's. Life, lift, location, and layout. They then need to start by closing the door. All right, so now we're going to talk about the two-person inward swinging door. Biggest things here, obviously we have to have good communication. For the instructors, you need to be paying attention to exactly when they're going to hit. Where we end up having the most problems is when they actually have the tool in the door and they're starting to apply that pressure. And when the student is saying hit or drive, okay, in coordination with the other person, that's where we end up having the most hand injuries. So please, please make sure you pay attention to that. So again, on this one, they're gonna come on up, whatever door you give them, make sure they size it up appropriately. Okay, they're gonna come on in. We're gonna do the exact same things that we were doing on the single person. First, we're just gonna go ahead and kind of check and see where we got. Okay, we're gonna shop. Again, we're not beating the door up. Okay, then we're gonna come on in and we're gonna start with, again, okay, we're gonna go ahead, open hand. We're gonna go ahead and start to try and work that door, okay? For the sake of this, we're gonna go ahead and say, wait, that's as much as we can get. Now we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna put that pressure into the door with our foot, okay? First thing we're gonna do, we're gonna start with bevel to the jam, okay? I have to coordinate with my partner here, okay? We're gonna use the terms hit for single hits, drive for continuous drives. We need to make sure that we've got that back pressure the entire time, okay? Hit, hit. Meanwhile, make sure they're pulling back and then saying hit, hit.
All right, stand by. As we're hitting, making sure the tool is across of the Halligan versus in line with it, so if they miss, it doesn't come off and hit them. So we go at an angle with the axe.
And we want to make sure that the students are hitting right here, all the way down the shaft of the Halligan. If they're out here hitting on this, they're not going to get what they want all the way down here. We'll also have damage to the tool. Okay? Hit, hit. Hit. Now we're at a spot where we can start to drive. Drive. Stop. At this point, we've driven to the spot where, again, all of our Halligans are marked. If for whatever reason we have an issue with progress capture, we're not going to use the axe. We are going to go to using our wedge. At this point, then we're going to go ahead, athletic stance, bottom this all the way out. We want them to go through the process once again. Now, bevel to the door. If the tool goes all the way in, great. Go through the process. Once the door opens, make sure we control it. They've got to make sure they control. Then we're going to go through the 4 L's. Life, lift, location, layout. We're searching all of that. We're going to finish by closing that door and controlling it. Now we've got the outward swinging two-person. Again, you go ahead and you give them whatever the door size up is, whatever they've got, make sure that they size it up appropriately. Obviously, they need to come up and take a look at it. Biggest thing is they need to identify that it's an outward swinging door. At this point, you're going to come on up. We're going to go ahead and we're going to put the Halligan at the appropriate place that we want it. We're going to utilize our partner. They're going to get down. They can stand, they can kneel, whatever they feel is appropriate. Again, the biggest thing is we want to make sure that they are making solid contact right down the head of the Halligan. If they're hitting out here on the bar, they're over here hitting on the spike, not where we want this. We do again have all the Halligans marked on both ends for where we need to bury it to. So we're gonna go ahead and do this, okay? Hit, 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 drive, stop. Okay, in this instance, obviously we lost it. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do it again. Okay, hit, 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 drive, stop. So now we get to the point where everything is seated exactly where it needs to be. We'll have the partner kind of move out of the way. Again, we're looking in an athletic stance to be able to open this door. Okay, if we get it and they get it all the way, that's fine. If they, for whatever reason, don't, we need to go into being able to use the adze or the triangle of power to finish that off. That's fine. Once the door is open, again, they need to control the door. They can then open it, or else life, lift, location, layout, and then shut that door again.